Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Sister Lida Asks. This evening, we have got Leslea Newman.
Ooh.
Hi, Leslea.
Hello.
Leslea is an illustrious author,
How about writer?
an amazing writer. When did you know that you wanted to be a writer?
So, from a very, very young age, maybe from when at the time I was 8 years old, I wrote little poems in a black and white composition notebook. And they were mostly little sad poems. I had the need to express sadness in a way that was comforting to me. So, no one said to me, well, try writing a poem. It just came out of me. And then I just, never stopped.
I love that. How did you deal, or do you still carry that sadness? Or as you grew up, were you able to transition that into other feelings?
Well, I was born 10 years after the war ended, meaning the war, World War II, right? We always said the war in my house. And so, there was just this collective sadness like in our DNA. And I think I still do carry that with me. I mean, I do write, I write joyful books, but I also do write some sad books. We've talked about October Morning, a song from Matthew Shepard, and I've written books of poetry about both my parents' illness and death. So, writing continues to be a source of comfort for me. And I'm reminded of the cellist Pablo Casals, who said, "The cello is my oldest friend, my dearest friend." And I think about that as my pen. My pen is my oldest friend, my dearest friend. So a friend keeps you company, a friend offers comfort, a friend is there through the good times, through the hard times, and so here's my friend.
That you still turn to pen and paper, or do you use some type of alternative way, like a computer or something else? How do you manifest your first idea when it comes to you? I know personally, I like to use a pen and paper to storyboard my ideas.
So I'm an old-fashioned girl. I still write with a pen. So everything is, at least first draft, is with a pen and a notebook. I've been doing that for half a century. So if it ain't broke, why fix it? And then I used to go to my typewriter, but now I go to the computer and I'll type what I wrote and then I'll print it out and I'll look at it and I'll mark it up. And then I might actually go back to my notebook. So it's kind of a back and forth thing. But everything starts in the notebook.
You must have so many notebooks.
I do have a lot of notebooks.
So, how did your parents react when you turned to them one day and you said, I'm going to write?
Well, it was no secret that I wanted to be a writer, and my parents kind of, it's funny to say, but they kind of supported me in an offhanded way because they figured, I was just going to grow up and marry a man and he would support me. So it didn't really matter what I did. So that was kind of their attitude. And my mom actually wanted to be a writer and she never pursued it. So I think, deep down, she was actually happy that I was going to fulfill her dream.
Mm. So you mentioned the war. Do you come from a family of immigrants?
So all my grandparents were immigrants. My maternal grandmother, who I never met either of my grandfathers, they died before I was born. I was very close to my mother's mother. And when I would ask her where she was from, she would say, some days it was Russia, some days it was Poland, wherever the Tsar decided to draw the line that day. So that's where they were from. And then my grandmother came over when she was 10 with her mother. Her father had died, and she was what she called a change of life baby. So her mother had her late in life. All her siblings were grown and they were already here. So my grandmother and her mother, who's my great-grandmother, came over. And they had to stay on Ellis Island because it was illegal for two unchaperoned females to leave the island unaccompanied by a male. So they had to wait for one of my grandmother's brothers to come and claim them and take them to their new life.
Do you have any photos of your grandparents?
So I do, in fact. So this is my fantastic grandmother.
How
Do you love the hat? So she was modeling this hat. And this is the youngest picture I have of her. Yes, look at her. Here, I'll pose too. And these are the Shabbos candlesticks that my grandmother, great-grandmother brought with them to America. And my grandmother gave these to me when I was 99. No, when I was 99, when she was 99. I am not yet 99. But I will show you my favorite picture of my grandmother, which I took when she was 99. Whoops, I know there's glare. Maybe if how can I do it better?
I love that.
So she's just sort of staring off. And this is her mother. This is my great grandmother.
Wow, that's just kind of pre-Victorian. That feels 1860s, 1870s, maybe 1880s.
Exactly. Yeah. So those photos are very precious to me.
Wow, photos are amazing. So speaking of photography, when you sit down to write, what is your process? Do you have touchstones? What inspires you? And is it similar from story to story or book to book?
So, when people say to me, where do you get your ideas? Especially kids, I like to say, oh, I go to the idea store, because it's a tenuous thing. They just come from everywhere. And at the same time, if I'm searching for an idea, I can't force something to happen. So sometimes I just do writing exercises. Sometimes I just sit and wait. I read a lot. I read a lot of poetry to get inspired. So some ideas are from lived experience. Some are from stories I hear or read, and some are from dreams, and some are just from my imagination.
Wow. But what y'all might not know about Leslea is she is a trailblazer. You are a beacon carrier in our community. So you've penned, Heather has two mommies. You've penned
October Morning with Matthew Shepard.
And Sparkle Boy. And it's really gone from, let's present this content in a way that makes kids feel that they're not alone, to let's address this horrific thing that has happened to the community, to you're just fine the way that you are. And I want to take a moment just to honor that, because I don't know if you hear it enough. I don't know if you get the thank yous, because I'm sure you've made a lot of people's lives easier just by knowing that they're not alone.
Well, that is so kind of you to say. And I love the way you just summed up in 3 sentences pretty much my whole entire career arc. That was really fabulous. I think, you really got it. So yes, I went, Heather, I actually wrote Heather in 1988. And it was published in December of 1989. And there's a newly illustrated edition. So this came out in 2015. So Heather got a makeover, actually, as did her two moms. And she has these purple cowgirl boots that she wears throughout the book. So that's really fun. The original was black and white because a friend and I co-published the book because nobody would publish it, and we didn't have the money for full color illustrations except for the cover. So in fact, it was because of Heather that I was invited to the University of Wyoming during their, what they called then Gay Awareness Week, to speak about that book. And that, of course, that was the school that Matt Shepard attended, and that was the year he was murdered. And I arrived on campus the day he died. And after really, I think close to 20 years, I managed to write this book, October Morning, A Song for Matthew Shepard, which talks about his this horrific hate crime and the tragedy and how it really changed so many people's lives. So, I went from A to B, and as you mentioned, to C, to Sparkle Boy, because I firmly believe that everyone deserves to sparkle, and you, sister, are sparkling so beautifully today.
Oh, thank you. Now, can you also believe that from 88 to the mid 2000s, you went from not having somebody who would publish a book about queer identity or same-sex parents to having a publisher and all of these amazing titles? And how quickly public opinion can shift.
Yeah, I never expected it. When I wrote Heather Has Two Mommies, there was nothing like it. And my friend and I literally begged people. We sent out fundraising letters. We actually stuffed envelopes. We put stamps on. Remember those days? There was no Kickstarter. And we asked people to send us $10. And we said, if you send us $10, we will send you a copy of this book within a year, or if we can't make it happen, we'll give you your $10 back. So we kept records. And so we went from, it was really grassroots effort. So we went from that to having a mainstream publisher, say, yes, we'd love to publish Sparkle Boy. And, this, you can see the skirt sparkling. This is very expensive to do when you produce a book. So they really went the extra mile. So yes, it's been quite a journey. And I have actually some other books on this topic coming out. So I'm really glad the journey continues, and other writers are doing the same thing. And so, Heather now has a lot of company, which is great because, for a while she was pretty lonely.
That's true. And I also remember, I was born in 82. At the local library, or even at your school library, it was a source of great debate. Maybe not so much in Rockport, Massachusetts, but in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I remember hearing through GLSEN and PFLAG, all of these school systems that wouldn't carry the book. They were just like propaganda. And I was shook at how it must have been hard for you to persevere in a tidal wave of no. How did you keep going?
I come from a very long line of strong Jewish women. So, So I don't get shaken that easily. And I was more frustrated than anything else, and mostly for the sake of the kids, because what really hurt me most was that children had to hear that there were people who disapproved of their family. Like, who are you to have the right to disapprove of anybody's family, really? So I just felt bad that children had to deal with that and had to ask their parents, whether they had two moms or two dads, or a mom and a dad, or a single parent house, or they're raised by their grandparents, or, any kind of family. Why do they hate us? And I still to this day can't really find an explanation for that.
Well, and I'm sure so many others, are grateful that you did persevere. Thank you. So you had mentioned that Heather and Sparkle Boy are going to have some companions. Can you drop any hints about what's coming down the line?
So I'm very excited about a book called I Can Be Me, which is coming out from Lee and Low, who is the same press that did Sparkle Boy. And it's a book about all kinds of kids expressing their gender in all kinds of ways. And the whole message of the book is that kids need to be free to be who they are. And then I have a book called The Fairest in the Land, which is about a little boy and a little girl who are playing pretend, and they both want to be the princess, and what happens with them. And it's about a lot of things, but it's about gender expression. It's also about being an ally and being a good friend. And then I also have a book coming out, and that's coming out from Abrams. And Abrams is also putting out a book of mine called What Daddies Do. And it's about dads being gentle and sweet with their sons.
That's not what I thought it was about.
I'm sure you didn't.
I was like, I know what daddies do.
Right.
Fabulous. Well, you're not Leslea. You're novice sister Queerdo. Hi, Queerdo.
Hello.
Here, let's get Leslea back.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh my. Everyone, I believe we just witnessed a miracle. Leslea has just returned out of thin air.
She has spontaneously appeared.
Oh my goodness.
Oh. Novice Sister Queerdo, can you tell everybody and Leslea the importance of this miracle that we have all just witnessed together?
Sister Lida, I would love to. The reason that I'm here today, on behalf of the Boston Sisters and of Perpetual Indulgence, Convent of the Commonwealth, in recognition of your work and the many lives that you have touched and inspired through your writing and everything that you do, I have the utmost honor in announcing that you have been officially canonized by our convent. So with that said, I now introduce you all to Leslea Newman, now also known as Saint Sparkle Heart.
Oh my God, that is such an honor and such a perfect name. I love that. I love to sparkle. You see, I have my sparkly bracelets and my sparkly earrings and my heart. So I'm thrilled and honored and grateful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You deserve it. Thank you so much.
Fabulous. Oh my goodness. What a wonderful day to be in the digital age.
Well, it was good to see you again, Leslea. Congratulations. I have to head out, do some more nunly things, but it was good to see you.
Thank you, sister. Thank
Good
you
night,
so
everybody.
much.
Thank you.
Wow. Saint Sparkleheart, I am so pleased that you are now part, you're up there now because we've sainted the notorious RBG, nothing but the Ruth and the whole Ruth.
Oh, I love that.
So, what I want to ask you next is right now, is there anything that scares you or is there anything that you're afraid of? You said you came from a long line of strong Jewish women. So, what scares you right now?
Well, like the scarecrow, I am afraid of a lit match. But other than that, I have to say that I'm pretty terrified of what's happening in this country right now. As an out lesbian, as a Jew, as a married lesbian to my beloved, who is a former nun, as you know, I'm pretty terrified about my rights being taken away. And so, it's really important to show up in any and every way that we can to make sure that doesn't happen. But, we are definitely living in a very scary time.
It's very frightening. It's the similarities to 100 years ago are lost on me. I'd like to think that we're beyond scapegoating, folks. There is not a problem with Democratic run cities, but certain mouthpieces would label the Democrats as insane and crazy. I think at the end of the day, you need to look in your heart and realize that we're all just people trying to love one another. As Leslea said, we need to make our voices heard. So don't forget to register to vote. And if you're not sure, you can go online and find out. It's so easy. And we'll see you in November at the polls.
Right. It feels like it's a very scary time to live as our authentic selves. And, many of us know what it's like to have to hide who we are for personal safety. And, I will do my darndest to make sure that doesn't happen again. And I think writing books for children that really encourage children to be open and accepting and celebratory and respectful is one way that I can contribute to that. Because, we have to start young, because messages of hate are not lost on little children. And so we have to counter those messages with love and respect and acceptance. I really don't like the word tolerance, which, reminds me, like, I might tolerate a bad hair day, but I'm not going to tolerate a person. I'm going to accept and respect and celebrate that person.
Yes. I couldn't agree with you more. It's tolerate is such a caustic word, and it was part of our community for many years, through the Lambda clubs and the Mattachine Society onward. It was this pussy won't bother you, don't bother us. We'll pretend outside, but don't come into our spaces because we won't. You're not going to like what you see. And as Leslea said, I'm not going to go back there. We've worked too hard, too long to willingly let it all go away.
And too many people have suffered and paid dearly, many with their lives. And out of respect for them, we will move forward.
Yes. Thank you, Leslea. So let's change the mood for a moment. How are you taking care of yourself right now during these times? With all this fear and around the election and fear around COVID-19, how do you and your beloved maintain an even balance?
So let's see, we're eating too many carbs, so that's very comforting. We adopted a cat right at the beginning of the shutdown, so she provides hours of amusement. We're staying very safe. We don't really see many people except in our backyard at a great distance. We still get groceries delivered. We're being super, super cautious. And, I'm used to working at home because I'm a writer. So, and my beloved is retired. So things in one way are not all that different, though, of course, I'm not traveling to give lectures and readings. I'm doing all that online, which is technically challenging for me, but I'm getting better. I'm learning. So, we're just trying to live our lives in a calm, dignified, loving manner towards each other, of course, and towards everyone we meet, and just do our best.
That's really good advice. I think it's really easy to get caught up in the anxiety and the fear, and just knowing that we necessarily can't control everything. So being intentional, having intention around the things in our lives might give people some comfort.
Yeah, I try to focus on what I can control. And, I checked myself when I learned a new word, doom scrolling. If I'm doom scrolling through the internet, right, I think, is this really what I want to be doing right now? And, the answer usually is no. I don't watch the news because there is a certain person on the news that I just can't look at that face. It's too upsetting. So I read the newspaper, but I really don't watch the news. And, I try to strike this balance between staying informed and not letting too much toxic vibes enter my psyche, because that's harmful.
So we have a few minutes left together. Can you tell me what does it feel like when you're out and you see a child or an adult consuming your material? Let's say you're incognito and they don't know that you're Leslea. What is that like to see your material being enjoyed?
So I've had some interesting experiences. I once called to order something from the Levenger catalog, which many writers love. It has like a lot of really interesting pens and stationery and things like that. And so the woman took my order, and then I said my name, and she gasped and she said, "Is this Leslea Newman, the writer?" So that was very exciting over the phone. Let's see, what else has happened to me? my spouse was in the hospital. It wasn't serious, but she was having a procedure. And I was with her, and the nurse said, "Oh my God, you wrote Heather Has Two Mommies," and she left the room. My spouse is lying there. She rolled her eyes, and she made a phone call. And she came back. She said, "My wife is coming, so you can sign our book." And I'm like, "Can you deal with my beloved here?" She's having a procedure. So things like that have happened, which is interesting. But, before, the pandemic, I used to travel to schools very often and read books to kids, schools and libraries and bookstores. And it was always wonderful to interact with the kids. And I remember I met a lesbian couple, and they wanted their child to meet me, and they were so excited. They were like, "She's the one. She wrote that book that you like so much. Do you have any questions for her?" And so the child opened the book and pointed and said, "You wrote this?" And I said, "Yes." And the child said, "How do you get your letters so straight?" So this was a very literal child, took everything very literally, and thought I had actually written each letter and was very impressed with my penmanship.
Kids. I mean,
Kids.
they think the most amazing things. So my last question for you this evening is, if you had one piece of advice to give to a writer of any age, what would that piece of advice be?
So if I was going to, first of all, who am I to give anybody advice? But since I was asked, I would say that it's important to find people who love and accept you completely as you are, so that you have friends, family, allies, people who see you, and people who encourage and support you to be your authentic self, because that's really the most important thing. And that's the gift that each of us gives to the world. Somebody gave me a birthday card that I loved one year that said, "Be yourself, everyone else is taken." And I really loved that. So you are the only you on the whole planet. And so your gift to the universe is to be yourself and give that gift to us. So that's what I would encourage you to do. Find community, find family, and then sparkle and be your true self and shine.
That is sage advice, and you'd be surprised how often I hear that from folks that I respect. So I think that's a really great piece of advice. And I want to thank you for taking the last hour or so, and to congratulate you on your sainthood.
So excited. What do saints get? Do I get a halo?
Well, you have already been put on a piece of toast, and so you will appear on our website on a piece of toast, and we will also send you a certificate.
Oh my goodness. Very exciting. Well, I will hang that up with all my other accolades.
I love it. Leslea, thank you for spending this Friday evening with us. We are so honored to call you our saint, one of our friends, and one of the leaders in our community. Stay safe out there.
Yes, thank you. Shabbat shalom, and I can't wait till we talk again.
Mwah! Congratulations. Hi friends, Sister Lida Christ here. Are you looking to find online queer content but you don't know where to go? Well, do we have you covered? Head on over to Kikipedia. Our friends at Kikipedia have assembled a TV guide of everything that's playing in the queer digital space. Whether it's Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, or 3 a.m., they have you covered. Visit Kikipedia.
Hi friends, I am Sister Mayflower with the Boston Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, here to make sure you're ready for the next election. Oh, hi Kitty, are you ready for November 3rd?
November 3rd? November 3rd. Thanksgiving? No. Veterans Day? No. Is it National Cappuccino Day?
Well, it's okay if you don't know, but November 3rd, 2020 is the day we elect our next president.
Oh, right. That's so important. I totally want my choices to be heard. November 3rd is so soon. What do I do?
Well, there's still time to register to vote, and it's super simple. It only takes about 2 minutes, and all you have to do is head on over to www.dragoutthevote2020.org/vote. That's www.dragoutthevote2020.org/vote. It's that simple.
I think I might have registered, but I can't remember.
Well, if you're already registered, now is a great time to make sure it's still up to date. Double check your address and polling place. Triple check. This year is more important than ever to make sure your voice is heard. Every voice matters.
Wow, I hope everyone takes the time to be absolutely ready for this. It affects us all. You, me, our neighbors, our community, and what our future holds. Visit www.dragoutthevote2020.org/vote and make sure you're ready to make your voice heard. I know I am. And if you're not sure who or what to vote for, ask your friends. Make a plan and vote together.
If you need help finding resources on how to vote, just comment below and we'll do our best to point you in the right direction. Whether we see you at the polls or you mail in your ballot early, make sure your voice is heard. And thanks for listening. Bye, everybody.
Do you miss queer Boston nightlife? Well, don't fret. Head on over to the Serve Network and you're going to see all of the shows that you loved from before lockdown. And also, there's some amazing new content. So go on ahead over to Serve Network and check them out.
Sister Lida, did you know that Mass General Brigham released the top 10 reasons to get your flu shot this year?
Oh, 10. I love a good top 10 postulant, Brian. Separate, they're okay. But together they're amazing.
Well, then count us down, sister.
Number 1.
You might get the flu, and getting the flu sucks. So people still die from that shit, you know?
Is that what they said?
Well, I'm paraphrasing. Number 2.
Preventing people from getting the flu puts less strain on the medical system as we continue to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. The flu, it's preventable. So prevent it. And while we figure out how to prevent COVID-19, let's talk about number 3.
If we see a second wave of COVID-19 during the flu season, we may need many of our workers to be as healthy as possible to keep up with the work. Number 4.
During the last flu season, the CDC estimated that there were between 24,000 to 62,000 flu deaths in the United States.
Oh, now you're just scaring people.
Ah!
What?
Boogie, boogie, boogie! Ah! Number 5. Number 5.
Aha, you can spread the flu before you have symptoms. So staying home once you feel sick isn't good enough. Number 6.
The more people who get vaccinated, the safer the most vulnerable members of our community there are. Number 7.
The flu can cause people of all ages to be hospitalized. Last flu season, we saw between 410,000 and 740,000 Americans hospitalized because of the flu.
Well, I don't have enough fingers or toes to even count that high, Brian.
Well, you just have to believe me. I'm in the field, you know. I'm out there counting every day. Number 8.
Even if you don't go to the hospital or the clinic, you can expose those who do to the flu. Bringing the flu
to those who are already sick. Number 9.
Being part of a community means taking responsibility for it. Getting your flu shot is an active step you can take in keeping our community safe. Number 10.
Cause we
said so.
We said so.
We said so.
And we look so good saying it.
You do.
No, you do.
No, you do.
No, you.
I do, but you.
Oh, no. Stop, you.
All right.